Hey, it's Rhianna. Welcome back to my channel. Today is going to be the much anticipated story time about when I dated the dead guy. So I want to preface this by saying that hindsight is 2020, and when you're looking for love, sometimes things that would be super obvious, like in your normal mind, get overlooked, and stuff like that. So I don't want to, obviously you know what this is about because the title and all that, but I just needed to preface that because I feel like this story is kind of hard for me to tell because it makes me feel really stupid. I know that y'all love me though, and you're gonna treat me so well after I tell y'all this story. You're not gonna be mean and you're not gonna say anything ugly to me because y'all are awesome, right? Okay, so let's just get to the story. So in 2011, I was single and I was dating, and I can't remember exactly super detailed specifics about how I met Kevin. His name was Kevin. And I know that we met through, a dating site or whatever online, but I can't remember who responded to who. But either way, we did start talking to each other. I believe he responded to me. And we started talking in October of 2011. So we get this, first little small talk situation out of the way. He's, I can't remember how old he said he was. He was I think he said he was in early 30s. He was divorced, single dad of one little boy named Jonathan who was autistic, and he lived in the Woodlands, and he worked in Webster, which is what on my side of town at the time. He had full custody of his son Jonathan, and the ex-wife wasn't in the picture at all. She didn't have anything to do with them. It was just him and his son and his mom that helped him out a lot with his son. So we actually started communicating mostly through Yahoo, the messenger, instant messenger, because he didn't have a cell phone. And what he said is that he turned it off to save money because he was never using it anyways, and he had a home phone and a office phone, and so he didn't see why he needed a cell phone any longer or whatever. But he promised that he would get a cell phone. So in October we talked a lot. I talked to him at work. I talked to him in the evenings. We IM'd during the day, whenever I was at work or he was at work or whatever. And we set up several dates to meet up. It did take a couple tries for us to actually meet face to face because things would happen where he ended up being, he had to stay late at work, or he didn't have a babysitter for Jonathan, and all that kind of stuff. So I was understanding, things happen, it's whatever. So our relationship, was going along. I see him semi-regularly. It is a little bit difficult though because he has sole custody of his son, and he wasn't ready yet to introduce me to him, which was understandable. And but he showed me pictures, and he talks about him a lot, and he explained how autism works in the spectrum and where he fell on the spectrum and all that kind of stuff. And I met him at work several times, and he would come over to my apartment, and so everything was just progressing along normally. He was, during the course of our relationship and talking and stuff, he did express that he was looking for another job. And I believe at the beginning of December, either the end of November or the beginning of December of 2011, he said that he had an interview in Dallas. And then a couple weeks later, he said that he got hired for this job in Dallas. And so then we kind of had a conversation of like, what did that mean for us? And he basically said that he would want me to come to Dallas. Not right away. The job was supposed to start at the beginning of January. And so he was thinking maybe like at the end of February. Like, let them move there, let them start the job, get settled, you know, get Jonathan settled, and then, you know, maybe move me out there in February. And so it felt like it was moving really fast, but I was, you know, I really liked him a lot, and, you know, we had said that we loved each other, and it was, you know, it was what it was. So, of course, I was still really frustrated because he had still not gotten a cell phone. And so there would be periods of time where, like, I wouldn't hear from him for a couple of days. But he kept promising that he was going to get a cell phone. And, yeah. So, one of the things I forgot to mention was that he worked... He said that, okay, I almost don't want to give out too information because I want to like try to protect his identity, but then at the same time I feel like, why should I protect his identity? Like, what he did was like really wrong. So his username was AV Guy Woodlands, okay, and AV for audiovisual guy, so audiovisual guy Woodlands, which is where he was from. And he said that previous to this job, he worked as an AV tech for some band. I can't remember, it was like some, you know, like heavy metal band, which I don't listen to, so I think Pantera or something. I don't even know, like, I'm just guessing. I can't remember now exactly what he said. And so I didn't really, some stuff like didn't really make sense to me, like, why don't you have a cell phone? Like, this just doesn't make any sense. So he moves to Dallas, and it was New Year's Eve, and he messaged me on Yahoo, and I was like, hey, how's it going? And he was like, not good. And I was like, what's going on? And he said that he was in a really bad car accident. And I was like, oh my gosh, are you okay? Is your son okay? And he was like, Jonathan wasn't in the car. He was at my friend's house, and you know, they're babysitting him. He said that he was on his way to Walmart, and he got like rear-ended by a dump truck, completely totaled his car, and he's like in a lot of pain, and like, you know, he's just been sleeping and da da da. And I was like, okay, well, maybe you should go to the hospital. Did you go to the hospital? And he was like, no, I didn't go. I'll be fine. It'll be fine. And so I was like, you know, really, obviously very concerned. Like, do you need me to come up there? I can come up there. Like, do you need me? Like, what's going on? And, you know, he's like, no, I'm fine, I'm fine. He was like, but I'm gonna have to cut this short because I'm really sleepy. I'm gonna go back to sleep. So I will, you know, he was like on painkillers and stuff like that. He was like, so I'll message you later. And I was like, okay. A couple more days go by, and I haven't heard from him. And at this point, I'm like super concerned. I know his new job was supposed to start like on January 3rd. And like, you know, he hadn't logged into the IM. Obviously, I couldn't communicate with him through his old home phone or through his work phone. I don't know why I did those in brackets, but whatever. So I was getting a little bit nervous, and I mean, it was been like, I don't know, it had been like almost a week since I had talked to him. He finally logs back into Yahoo, and I'm like, oh my gosh, or, you know, I was like, what's going on? Are you like dead? Because like I hadn't heard from him in a week. And then he logs back in and he says, yes, I'm dead. And I was like, what? And he was like, this isn't Kevin, this is his mom. And he actually died from complications from the car accident. He had internal bleeding. He went to the hospital, blah, 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 blah. And at first I was just like, whatever, like, that's not true. That, I mean, you're like, obviously you're messing with me. I don't know who you are, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then his mom was like, how dare you? This is my son. You know, this was really hard on us, and, you know, at least I'm getting on here to tell you about it. And I was like, you know, I'm not trying to like say that you're lying. I was like, but how am I supposed to believe that you're telling me this through IM? You know, can you call me or something? And she was like, no, I'm just too emotional. Like, I can't deal with this right now, but I just wanted to let you know. So at that point, I mean, I'm just like completely devastated. I mean, this man, like I was in love with him and he was in love with me, and we were gonna have a family, and we were gonna be a little family in Dallas, and I was gonna move there, and you know, we were gonna be together forever. And I was really emotional and pretty inconsolable for several days. I cried for like 3 days straight, like to the point where I had no appetite. I wasn't eating. I, like, anything I did was just like, I just couldn't be alive. Like, I cried so much that my eyes hurt. I didn't even know that was possible. Like, my eyelids were hurting, were in pain from crying so much. And like, everything I heard on the radio reminded me of him. Everything I saw on TV reminded me of him. Like, my family was like bringing me food, because like my family knew about this guy. Like, my family knew about him, and there was pictures of us together, and like they all knew about Jonathan, and like it was like I was getting like condolence messages and stuff from my family. And so during this time, his mom would continuously IM me through his messenger and be like, you know, how are you doing? And we would talk to each other. And I was like, you know, I want to be there for the service. And he's originally from Chicago. So like, she was like, well, it's going to be in Chicago. And, you know, and then she didn't even, it was like, it happened and she didn't even tell me or whatever. And I was like, well, can you at least like save me a program or something? Oh, that's one of the things that she said too. She was like, what do you want me to do? Take a picture of him in the coffin? And I'm like, okay, I hope you understand it's hard for me to like understand and like comprehend this whenever this is all through instant messenger. Like, I don't know what you want from me. So, she then goes on to tell me about how like he talks about me all the time, and he had picked out a house for us, and he had a ring for me and all this other stuff, and how he wanted me to have it, and he just wanted to provide the best life for me. And so like, so that went on for about a week of me talking to his mom. And then I was at work one night, and you know, I have the Yahoo app on my phone, so I would instant message through my phone and stuff, not just on the computer. And I'm talking to his mom. Remember, it's through his account though. Like, and she would log in to his account and talk to me. And so, and I had heard about her. Like, I knew her name and everything. So like, you know, he had told me about his family. It wasn't like I didn't know who she was. But it was just like, why is it only through his IM? So I remember I was at work and I get an IM from her, and it says, I need to tell you something. And I was like, okay. And he was like, this is Kevin. I'm not really dead. I remember, like, I worked in a call center. I like put myself into break mode, and I like went into the bathroom, and I was like, call me right now. Like, call me right now. I don't care what you're doing. I don't care what's going on. You have to call me right now. And so he calls me, and I'm like, what the, sorry for my language, but like, what the heck? What the heck? And so at this point, I'm like so relieved, because this person that I thought was dead, who I loved, was alive. And I was like, instantaneously, I was so glad that he was alive. And I was like, what happened? You know, why did you do that to me? Like, why did you put me through that? And he was like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. He was like, and how he explained himself basically was that he had, you know, a lot of money, and he'd been burned in the past by women using him for his money, which, like, I was so mad at that explanation, because my car got repoed in the middle of us dating. Like, at the end of October, my car was repoed, and I never asked him for any help. Like, I never asked him to help me get my car back or anything. So, like, obviously I didn't care about his money. Like, that wasn't something that was important to me. I've never been someone who cares about money. And so, like, he was like, I know. He was like, but I've been through so much. Like, I'm sorry. I'm messed up. I messed up in the head, and I messed up. Like, and I was just like, so like, okay, so he's alive, I'm happy, you know, we're back together, and I have to now explain to my family and friends that he's alive. And you know, he was there through all that. He was like, I understand that, you know, they're gonna have questions and everything, and he was like gonna be there with me to support me through this process. Like, we're gonna have each other's backs. So I go through the whole process of explaining to my friends and family, and basically it just came down to me just saying like, look, this is what I'm doing, and y'all just have to, you know, accept it, basically. And they did, sort of. I mean, of course people were upset that he upset me, but you know, whatever. So it's, you know, they can't make me change my mind. So a couple weeks go by, and I'm really struggling with our relationship, because it's like, how in the world can I ever trust that anything that you say or do for the rest of our relationship is ever gonna happen? I mean, even something as simple as taking out the trash. Like, you have made such a big like break in the trust. Like, how am I ever gonna rebound from that? And so after a couple weeks, I think I ended up having a conversation with him and basically like breaking off our relationship. But of course, being the person that I am, I was kind of like, okay, well, I can't be your girlfriend and you can't be my boyfriend, because I can't trust you anymore. But, you know, we can still be friends and we can stay in contact and all that. So we were broken up, and but I would still like talk to him on occasion, and I would see him every once in a while. And I started dating someone else a couple months later, and you know, Kevin got real jealous, and you know, he was like saying all these horrible things to me, and then he was like, he messaged me, and he was saying all this stuff about the guy, like that he's probably married and that I'm a homewrecker and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, okay, like, what is your deal? Like, why are you saying this to me? And he was like, well, he's like, I have something to confess to you. And I was like, okay. And he said that he was married, and he didn't just have one kid, he had 3 kids. And I mean, it was just like, okay, so I totally got catfished way before catfish was even a thing. And it's so frustrating because he continued to come in and out of my life, like through Messenger and email and stuff like that, all the way up until after I was dating Jonathan. Like, he would just randomly pop up, and he would like say really mean things about like Jonathan. Like, he got super jealous whenever I started dating Jonathan, and Kevin was saying that, you know, he was leaving his wife for me, and that, you know, I ruined his marriage. And I'm like, I made it very clear that I never wanted to be in a relationship with you after you faked your death. Like, I cannot be in a relationship with someone that I don't have trust with, period. And it doesn't matter if it's because of one trust thing or another trust. Like, it doesn't matter how you break the trust. Like, you broke the trust, I can't be in a relationship with you, because trust is like the #1 thing. One of the last communications that I had with him, he had messaged me about, he had divorced his wife because, you know, he left his wife for me and I ruined his marriage, right? Okay. So he messaged me saying that he divorced his wife. He was living in Amsterdam or like Denmark or something like that. He had a coffee shop, and he lived above it, like in a loft with his son Jonathan, and that, you know, he had like all this money. And oh yeah, by the way, everything that he said about being an AV guy for whatever band it was, like having all this money, it was all a lie. None of it was true. Like, none of it was real. I really believe, honestly, that he's a sociopath. So this last communication I had with him, I ended up messaging him back, and I said, Kevin, there's no reason for you to lie to me. I know you're lying. I can see your Facebook, and I saw you with your kids on the first day of school in your driveway at your house in the Woodlands. You did not. None of that's true. You're just like, if you want to be my friend, then you have to stop lying. And he responded back, got super defensive, like threw it all back up in my face, and I've never heard from him again. So that's my story about dating the dead guy, who turned out to be not rich, but married and very poor with 3 kids and a wife, obviously. Like I said, looking back, there were so many things that are so obvious to me that were red flags. But when you want to be loved and love someone so much, you're willing to like overlook things that you shouldn't. And I learned a lot from that experience, honestly. So after that experience, I did stop dating seriously for a while, or stopped looking, I should say, and I just started praying. And I started praying for who God wanted me to have in my life. And I started praying for my future husband and praying for myself, and I met Jonathan. So I've told Jonathan this, and I'll tell the world that if I had to go through all that to find Jonathan, then it was totally worth it, because he is the most amazing man, and I'm so blessed to call him my husband. I love him so much. He's so amazing, and I'm just gonna go on forever about him. So, all right. I hope you all enjoyed this dating time, story time video. It was a nightmare. If you have any awful dating stories, leave them down below. Make me feel better about this. I can't be alone, right? And if you ever come across a guy named Kevin Jones, whose real name is Kevin Paris, and his username is AV Guy Woodlands, run away. It's not worth it. And no, I didn't tell his wife or anything, because it's not my place. I pray for her. I hope that everything is fine. But honestly, I typed in AV Guy Woodlands before I started this video just to verify that was his username, and I Googled it. And there is a profile on a dating website that says that it was last active in 2014, which was past the time whenever he and I stopped, because I met Jonathan in 2012, so he's still out there. So be careful, ladies. Be careful. I hope y'all still love me. I'm gonna wrap this up. There's nothing else for me to say. If you have any questions, you can leave them down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. Don't forget to click that thumbs up button, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.